call this October 21st school board meeting to order. Let's recite the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, I need a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll make that motion.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor? All right. Got public comments. We have Miss Sabrina Gotts here. If come on up, welcome.
Nice to see y'all today.
Good to see you.
I have some questions that I was wanting answered, that some of the public was wanting answered. We seem to be having a problem in the schools, the division between vaccinated and unvaccinated. It's no one's business whether someone's vaccinated or, whether they're vaccinated or unvaccinated. That shouldn't even be a discussion in the schools. It's causing discrimination, it's causing segregation with the students a lot. There has been some comment that some of the teachers are saying you should go get vaccinated, you should do this. That's not the place. What I want to know is, I've called the Virginia Department of Health, I called the district health, I called school board nurse, and I've talked to 5 different people. 3 of them has different answers and only 2 has the same answers about what guidelines we got to go by. There's some of them that say vaccinated people on the 7th, if you're vaccinated and you're exposed to COVID, you can come back on the 8th day, is that correct? What is it? Does anybody know?
I do.
Oh, please tell me.
Okay. All right, now what was the question again? Ask me one more time.
Okay, about how a student is exposed to COVID between the vaccinated and the unvaccinated, which, like I say, that shouldn't even be an option. They should all do the same thing.
Yeah, if you're exposed and you're vaccinated, then you can return wearing a mask within the building, and you monitor your symptoms. And then if you are asymptomatic and you're exposed and you're vaccinated, then you can return wearing a mask for 3 to 5 days and monitor your symptoms. If you're vaccinated and you have symptoms, then after 3 to 5 days, then you can get tested. If you're positive, then you can return on the 11th day from your exposure.
Okay,
Now that's without looking at my chart.
no, that's fine. Like I said, I've talked to 5 different people and 3 of them have different answers.
Yes,
Only 2
yes.
had the same answer. What if someone has antibodies? Are you treating them as a vaccinated person? Well, that's something we need to know. Because natural immunity, and it depends on who you talk to, is better than the vaccine. So that needs to be addressed because there's a lot of people that have the antibodies that never were sick. And if you can show an antibodies test, they should be treated as the same and come back. Now, another question I have, and have gotten many different answers from this. If someone goes out, who's doing the contact tracing? The schools, the nurses, the Department of Health, who's doing that?
Yes.
All of them?
all the above.
All the above. Are they on the same page? No, they're not. I'll just let you know that. None of them's on the same page. So when a student goes out, they get their test on the 5th day, and their test is negative, they should be able to come back that day. That's per the doctor's orders. And they're not allowed. Well, in Giles, that may be okay, but in theirs, you're not missing 1 day. You're missing 2 days per day you're off. So if you're off 10 days in theirs, you're missing 20 classes. And that's a big deal. So whenever they get a negative test per their doctor, and I know the comment is, they're not going by the doctor's order and they don't care. Well, a doctor overrides a nurse, I'm sorry to tell you. But they should be able to go back because the kids are wanting to be in class. Okay, if your number's on your website that you turn in every Thursday, if a student goes out and has a positive test on Wednesday, you turn that student in on Thursday, correct? They're on on your website, they're counted as positive on Thursday.
I get the updates from our school health coordinator on Thursday of every week.
Right,
based on
and you
the
put that on there on
active
Thursday.
cases that are on, and that goes on Facebook.
Right, okay, so Wednesday, get this Wednesday, you get a person that's tested positive. They can't come back to school 9 days later. They can't come back to school, so you're counting them again on that next Thursday because they're not out of the system. So that's double counting, right?
That's still an active case as of the next Thursday.
But they're not in school, and it's not a new positive case.
I think what Dr. Arbery is trying to say is, we're not saying we've got 8 new cases. What we're saying is, at this time, we've got 8 active cases at various stages, whether that person was diagnosed the day before or would be coming off quarantine on Friday.
Yeah, but, okay. So, on some of your reports, on August the 26th, September the 2nd, and September the 16th, you included people from Giles Technical Center. Well, they either go to NARES or they go to Giles, so that's a double count, correct? Correct?
Not necessarily. Not all students are NARES or Giles High School students.
And we've got to be careful. We've got to provide that information. At the same time, we've got to do everything we can to protect the student's identity for HIPAA.
Right.
So we don't say, we try not to, Dr. Arbery tries not to do anything but identify any protected health information.
Yeah, I know, but see, on the other days, you've got it, if you look on your website, on some of the days, you've got it NHS/Giles Technical Center, that one student. So you're identifying NARES High School or Giles High School.
Mm-hmm.
Well, on these days, you're not identifying either one of them. You're saying that's directly from them, from that Giles Technical Center.
Mm-hmm.
So you're saying these are not students?
That's very possible.
Okay, all right, I just want to make sure of that. All right, let's go on. The phases, phase 1, 2, and 3. Do y'all have a number, like in phase 1, phase 2, you go, this many has to have it, phase 3, this many has to have it? Students, so how do you decide the phases?
We have not, we do not have a set number that has been discussed with the board, no.
So who makes that decision on what phase you go in?
Dr. Arbogast made that decision to go to phase 3 pursuant to the policy we approved at our school. And that was based on the fact that without the masking and without a virtual option, the operational capacity of our school was we could not run our schools because non-infected but quarantined individuals couldn't come and drive our buses and serve our meals and do the other things that we needed to do to keep the school open. And as a parent, my concern about it too is, and having kids that have been, my daughter was quarantined early. My sons have been quarantined. They probably missed 10, 11 days of school thus far, and they're kids that, normally would be going to school, but they don't have a virtual option. They're getting behind, and that's the only way, I think you can avoid a quarantine is if both parties are wearing a mask and following certain distancing and that's the only chance we have with what was going down and what kind of I think we're still in to keep our schools operating and to keep our kids in school. And to me, it's even more crucial this year because we don't have, a kid can't go full virtual. You've got a teacher that's teaching class, and then they're getting, it's just like if they were sick normally and trying to play catch up.
Okay, that brings up about another thing. When you have the flu, the stomach bug, and you have this amount of numbers, 30 students out, 23 students out, I think the most you had was 12 staff out at one time. You had 62 students out, and that's the whole county. And 12 staff in 1 week. You don't wear masks, and you don't send students home. And you know the rest of them are gonna get the flu, and you know the rest of them's gonna get the stomach bug, but you don't send them home. I mean, you don't quarantine them. You tell them to come back when they're better. This is no different. And I need to ask you this, has any student, and I hope that I'm wrong, has any student died in Giles County? Not to my knowledge.
There's one in the ICU right now.
There is one in ICU.
Yes.
I'll pray for them because I didn't know, but I don't understand it. We have to go to the Tech games with thousands of people. I've been to concerts with thousands of people. There is no mask. There's no quarantine after you get back. And some people are not even sick. So but that's just me. I know you have people and teachers that are very against it. That's why I think if you want to wear a mask, wear a mask. If you don't want to wear a mask, you shouldn't have to wear a mask. And my point going to that is Virginia Law Code 1-240.1. A parent has a fundamental right to make decisions concerning the upbringing, the education, and the care of the parent's child. So it should be their decision. This is a Virginia law. This is a law. So I'm not sure how anyone can go over and trump this law. I don't know how.
And I know, and I'm sorry I couldn't answer
You're fine.
that question for you.
You're fine.
But I'll say, even that law, there are limits within other laws that kind of limit the choices, like children have to be educated. You
Right.
cannot have a choice whether you educate your children. You have a choice to homeschool them, but they've got to follow certain policies and those things, and you could go on and on and on.
Yeah, I'm sure you can.
And we as I feel personally, I'm just one board member, but I feel personally, we could fight and go to court and all these things about this issue when all we're trying to do is keep the kids in school right now.
Right, and
that's
too.
where I'm coming from.
That's where I'm coming
That's
from
where I'm
too.
coming from, because there's things in the future we might have to fight.
Right, and that's what I'm getting to. I hope that this board and this county will stand behind our kids being in school and being free. Right now, we're in a noose. All of us. All the kids. I've got grandkids coming home crying because they got a headache every day. Got a headache because they've had to wear a mask all day. And mine aren't the only one. There is tons of them. But we don't seem to care about that. That doesn't even, that's not an option. And I don't know why it can't be an option, because I do know this, in West Virginia, there's 2 counties that don't wear a mask. They have not been in the red. They are in the green, Pocahontas County and Tucker County. They don't have a mask mandate. I do know that. So that's another thing I was wanting to know. And like you said, there's other things coming. And if we don't stand up now, these other things coming are ridiculous. The other one is, I want to know if it comes down to making everybody get a vaccination, these kids 5 and up, or the teachers. They should have a religious exemption, and by the kids getting a religious exemption or a medical exemption at the beginning of the year, can you take that away from them? If the government comes in and says from 5 to 16, we're gonna make you all get vaccinated?
That hadn't been put before us, and I mean, I think we gotta address that when it comes put before us. I mean, there's a lot of things that are out there. I trust the other 4 board members here to do the right thing, and I hope you do too. I mean,
I do, but I want to make it known now because it's coming, you know it's coming.
things are coming, things are gonna be coming down the pipe in years to come. And, you know, we'll address those when they get there, but I think you need to have confidence in those of us up here that, you know, there are core beliefs and core values related to the education of our children in this county that we're gonna stand up for. And, I feel certain with this group, but, you know, for us to sit and, you know, talk about those now in hypotheticals when it does, just kind of waste the time from getting what we need to do right now, which is focus on today and next week.
Well, I'm sorry for wasting your time. I don't think.
No, you didn't waste our time, Ms. Brent. Thank you for.
Oh, I'm not done. Okay, it's listed online that, the Giles County got $3,247,664, $247,664. $1,458,756 went to our schools. Why can't we buy air purifiers in every room?
We don't know if that's, I mean, honestly, we don't know if that's effective. We actually got we're gonna have to spend, we just got quotes today for normal maintenance things, what, $2.5 million to replace the HVAC in one school, which actually is probably a more effective way of filtration. That's kind of the problems we're dealing with here. It's not just COVID, but we're trying to deal with COVID and trying to deal with.
Well, I mean, this is COVID relief money.
It's COVID relief money, but how much did we spend in summer school, Dr. Arnold?
That's okay, you don't need to look that up.
Because we have money, I mean, earmarked for the summer school that we just had this past summer, next summer, and the summer after for learning loss. We have reading specialists that have been included in there for the next couple years that are coming out of that for learning loss to make up for the time that we missed. And there's more grants coming that will allow us to apply for money for summer school, before and after school remediation, and so we're going to continue to apply and get the funding that we can to help our kids and stay.
I mean, I don't want y'all to just sit here and insinuate I'm not here to help the kids, because I am.
But no,
I didn't say that. No, I wasn't saying that.
we know you're coming from the heart and you mean well.
So here's a lot of teachers have purchased on their own, so they're, is that right?
Giles High School got a grant last year.
You guys asked the schools, the board asked the schools, what do you want with the COVID relief money? And the ones that wanted the air purifiers were given air purifiers. Some of them didn't request.
Giles High School got a grant.
But at the time, Giles wanted it, and then they got a grant for it. But the other schools, they all had an opportunity to request monies from COVID relief. They just didn't request the air purifiers.
Okay. And of course, this is a big question. Whenever this happens, this critical race theory or DEI comes our way, is anybody gonna be standing up for that? I mean, against it? Or is that up to the citizens to do?
We don't teach critical race theory. We follow the standards of learning from the Commonwealth of Virginia through the State Department, from the Department of Education.
So does Loudoun County not do that either?
Well, I can't speak for Loudoun County.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying Loudoun County, Clarks County, it's going all through Virginia right now. It's going through the system. That's why they're bucking. That's why bringing in the FBI and all that. I'm just saying, that's one thing I want to make sure that who makes that decision, what comes in? And will we be notified of that before it's in?
Well, I think we're all gonna keep an eye and try to keep an eye on what's being taught to our children and keep parents informed of that. And, you know, like I was saying before, when things come, you know, we all know things are gonna come down the line that may affect our children, that may not be things that we as a local community, a local board agree with. And like I said, I have confidence in this board that we will do the right thing and fight fights that need to be fought and respect, you know, parents' wishes and balance that against, you know, the other things that are going on. So I hope that you trust us to do that, because again, I trust the people on this board for those type of fights that, you know, we'll be prepared.
Well, Sabrina, we went through the school system, all of us. We've got children that went through here. We've got grandchildren that are going through here right now. I think we're gonna do the right thing for them, you know, and, I think you can be assured of that, you know, and I hope you are.
Oh, I have confidence, but it's not gonna always be the same. Do you know what I'm saying? You don't know who's gonna be on the board at any time.
That's true.
That's why I'm asking the guidelines right now for that. For one, I'll have it on record.
Yeah,
It'll
nothing
be,
will be, the public will be aware of anything.
that's why I'm asking. That's why I'm asking on where the public will be aware.
Yes.
So if you can check on the antibodies thing, that's a big thing that we need to know. And if we could come together and get one set of rules instead of 5 for it.
Understand that completely.
I agree.
I mean, if nothing else, I don't know if you can get a committee together and sit down and say, these are our rules for Giles County. Because obviously, like I said, I didn't just call local, I called the Virginia Department of Health. And actually, you know who I got? A person out of Tennessee answering my questions.
Explains a lot right there.
So that's what I'm saying. So, I mean, this is stuff we need to know. And that's why the kids are upset, because everybody is getting treated a different way as far as going out of school, when you can come back. If you have a negative test, when you can come back, that needs to be addressed. Like, you know, soon.
I think one good thing that's come out of it, I think the numbers are going down.
Yes.
And I think whether you agree with it or not, and I don't think you'll agree with this, I think it's because of the masks that the numbers are going down.
Well, if you look on your mask box,
I
it says this does not prevent
Well, that's all right. You
COVID-19.
can say what you want to.
They cover themselves.
We'll take these masks off and we'll see what happens.
Well, I haven't had one on, not a bit.
Well,
And I own business.
I've got 2 close
Thank you,
relatives.
Sabrina.
You're welcome. And go Brandon.
All right, Dr. Arbogast has a couple of presentations.
Will you join me down front, sir, please?
I am honored to. I'm glad Mr. Steele's not here today.
It's in the paper.
I'm actually sad about both of these.
Well, let's see which one I picked up off the floor first. All right, this opportunity, we would like to recognize, and we're proud to recognize this individual for his 30 years of dedicated service to Giles County Public Schools, his support of the students and the programs at Harris High School. We'd like to recognize Todd Lusk and thank him for everything he's doing. Yeah, I'm sure we will.
Can I take that back? Can we take that back and put you back?
You're gonna make me look forward.
You need to come back.
Stand over there.
Amen. Make us both look short.
I'm standing up, everybody.
You on a chair then?
Anybody talking?
Thank you.
Todd, we appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you for everything.
Thank you.
And he still says, go Greenway.
Yeah.
Next, we would like to take the opportunity to recognize Brenda Smith and thank her for her dedicated service to Giles County Public Schools, particularly Narrows High School, for what she did for the students and staff on a daily basis.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Brenda. My kids would not have graduated without Brenda. Is that right? Thank you, Brenda.
Thank you.
And Todd, I'm gonna ask you to come back up here because I imagine that you'd like to have a picture of both of you.
Okay,
Yeah.
that works.
Thank you.
Thank you guys very much. All right. With that, we'll move on to the consent items, the meeting minutes, and the financial data, bills, payroll, revenue, expenditure report, and appropriation request. Do I have a motion to approve the consent items?
I'll make that motion to approve the consent items.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? No discussion?
We started.
Let's have a vote on that. All in favor? All right, brings us to the superintendent's report.
Mr. Buckland, if it's all right with you, I'm gonna drop down and do the educational features since we have some students and staff here with us this evening to present information. So I'm gonna turn it over to Mr. White. Giles Tech Center is here to do the educational features, so I'm gonna turn it over to Mr. White, let him introduce who's here with him this afternoon.
Good afternoon. Thank you all for giving us this opportunity to come and see you all and share some few things that are going on at the Tech Center. It's been a busy school year so far. It's wonderful. It's been great being back 5 days a week, especially at the Tech Center with all the hands-on skills we do there. So, but we have Ms. Kayla Evans here. It's a drafting and pre-engineering program, and she will introduce the students and they will just share a little bit of what they've been doing. So, but again, thank you all.
Good afternoon. As Mr. White has introduced me, my name is Kayla Evans and I'm the drafting instructor. And I have with me here 3 of my seniors. I have Mr. Gavin Fall, Mr. Nathan Lucas, and Mr. Jace Williams. And we're gonna pretty much be giving you a brief overview of what we've been doing for the past 2 years. And before I get started, I wanna go on and reiterate the fact as far as COVID has greatly impacted the way that we have done our projects, field trips, competitions. With that being said, hop to it. So, Mr. Nathan Lucas and myself are going to kind of give you the rundown of our slideshow. Last school year, juniors learned basic drafting fundamentals in Drafting 1. They were required to learn manual drawing techniques using manual equipment such as triangles, compasses, and scales. They were also introduced to computer-aided drafting and design by using programs such as AutoCAD and Inventor.
So these are really basic Inventor drawings. And when we first started last year, we did about 2 of these a week. And now we could get these done in about 5 to 10 minutes.
For their final projects, juniors could design a toy and create a basic set of working drawings for said toy, or they could design a card to predetermined specifications that would protect an egg traveling down a steep incline. They had to design 3 bumper systems. Car designs were tested on various slopes using the egg car ramp in the drafting lab. Cars were evaluated for speed, ingenuity, and performance.
This was one submitted by John. He had to do several drawings for all the different moving parts, and then he had to do one big one, an assembly drawing, and put them all together on the left. This was the start of my project last year. I wanted to do a guitar, and that was just a rough drawing on the left there, and it ended up looking like what it does on the right. I used the scrap wood from the building trades program, and they cut out the shape for me, and I put electrical components from my own guitar into it, and I'm still working on it.
But can you play it?
You didn't, you wanna know if you could play?
Not yet.
Not yet.
He's gotta get his design completely finished first.
So this is Jackson. He used a syringe on his egg cart to soften the blow at the end, and he put rubber bands on the axles to slow the roll. This is Gunner. He used the same rubber band design and plastic tubing on the front to slow it. There's Owen. He used 3 layers of foam and also the rubber bands. That's Noah. He actually originated the rubber band idea, and he did pretty well, if I remember. This is Gavin. So the rule for the egg cart was that the egg needed to be able to see out of whatever it was in. So he took a transparent plastic egg and encapsulated it inside of it.
So he kind of found me in a gray area. So I had to kind of let him get by with this.
This is Chris. He took an egg carton and cut it down to where they could see out of it, and it held it very well. The next two, this is Rachel, and then the next one's Aaliyah. And they did very simple designs, and they proved to be very effective.
Last school year, seniors completed both classes, drafting 2, which is engineering drawing, and drafting 3, which is architectural drawing. Seniors obtained certifications by taking the National Occupational Competency Testing Institute, or the NOCD exam. Seniors successfully completed projects such as designing and 3D printing a unit circle for trig class at Giles High School. They teamed up with the nursing students to design and 3D print a mobile translator for the nursing students' HOSA project. Mobile translators are used to translate various languages into English for healthcare workers.
This was, we've done a lot of work for the band over the last 2 years. And where we were playing football in the winter last year, it was very cold. With the metal mouthpieces, it wasn't that fun. So the seniors last year designed mouthpieces to be able to use, and the one on the far left was actually used quite a bit, and it worked. We actually have more work for the band this year.
Seniors last year created manual site plan layouts for various circumstances. They also created a basic set of working drawings for their final architectural project. 3 students also competed and placed in the Virtual Skills USA Virginia competition. Natalie Dickerson placed 3rd in t-shirt design. Zachary Ratcliffe placed 2nd in architectural drafting, and Colton Snyder placed 2nd in technical drafting.
This year, the juniors are starting their manual drawings, which we also had to go through, and it's a process. We start with just a pencil and some scales, and really simple drawings, 2D, and then they'll move into using drafting machines and isometric drawings, and then it'll be on to AutoCAD.
And they are currently working on trying to convert inches into metric.
The seniors, we are currently finishing up packets, learning more intermediate skills on Inventor, like constraints and auxiliary views. These are a couple of auxiliary views drawn by John Jackson, and Gavin will take it for auxiliary views.
Mr. Gavin Fall.
Hello. Okay, so this is basically what an auxiliary view looks like. Auxiliary views are created to show the true size and shape of an inclined surface. To create a basic auxiliary view, you must first model the part in 3 dimensions. Next, you place the necessary views on a sheet. For this drawing, we will need the top, the front, and the isometric views. Next, you will project the auxiliary view using the front view. By creating the auxiliary view, I can now see the inclined plane and hold straight on. I now have to create partial views using the crop tool. Partial views are used when only part of the view needs to be shown. Lastly, center lines and dimension lines need to be added. The push-off plate drawing is now complete.
This year, our plans are for our students to compete in Skills USA. Mr. Jace Williams is planning on competing in the Principles of Engineering competition. His project, we came up with a preliminary name. So for his project, his concept is called the Never Wet Mystery Box. This design is made to keep your items safe and dry when doing such things as kayaking, tubing, or just hanging around at the lake. This product will get rid of all your worries when you know that your things are safe and sound in the Never Wet Mystery Box. As you can see, the box has 4 keyholes to connect both sides in the middle to make sure everything is sealed up nice and tight. It is a safe box small enough to carry around without having a backpack on. It can carry up to 3 items, whatever that shall be, like your wallet, phone, or keys. We also have Mr. Nathan Lucas, who is planning on competing in the engineering design technology competition, and I'm gonna let him take over.
So it's a pretty ambitious project, and me and 2 other students have come up with an idea to make a car an electric car that when it runs, it charges itself. Using friction from the brakes and the rotation of the axles to charge a battery in the front and the back.
Future plans for the drafting program. For the remainder of drafting 2, seniors will be finishing up their relative competencies, learning additive manufacturing processes in which they will engineer and 3D print solutions to various problems. For drafting 3, which begins next semester, in the spring semester, seniors will be learning architecture. Students will also gain real-world experience with various upcoming projects.
We're getting people from other places of the tech center to come and 3D print things and draw things, and it's different because we're not just doing this to get a good letter grade, we're doing it for somebody else. This is Jackson here, he's doing something, a carburetor service stand for the automotive class.
Other future projects we have are,
We have an end cap for a drafting machine. Old plastic tends to break, so we'll be replacing that. John Jackson is going to be creating a handle for a Tupperware container. We have more work for the band, holders for sheet music. We don't have anybody assigned to that yet. Also the flute mask holder. And then Miss Evans needs us to 3D print a handle for a clutch knob on a Ford tractor and also something to hold thermos.
and we thank you so very much for letting us present to you today. And if you have any questions or need anything from the drafting program, let me know. We'll get you fixed up. And thank you, Mr. Jace Williams. Thank you, Mr. Nathan Lucas, and thank you, Mr. Gavin Paul.
Of course.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Does anybody dread going to class?
Oh no, it's great in there.
It's fun.
Something, get you a patent on it and be.
Yeah.
That's what we're aiming for. We're aiming for patents.
That's right.
So,
Great job, guys.
thank you.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank y'all.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you, Caleb.
Thank you, see ya.
Thank you. Dr. Arbogast, if you want to.
Thanks, sir. Keep on going. Let's see. Have some personnel and contractual items I need to ask the board to confirm at this time. I need to ask the board to approve the following athletic contracts. Brock Lusk, Narrows High School head boys middle school basketball. Jimmy McCroskey, Giles High School co-head middle school boys basketball. Derek Snyder, Giles High School middle school co-head boys basketball. Todd Gwynn, Narrows High School head girls middle school basketball. Patrick Bailey, Narrows High School head boys basketball. And Derek Reed, Narrows High School assistant boys basketball.
Do I have a motion to approve the athletic contracts?
I'll make that motion.
I'm gonna abstain to voting on that since my husband's on there.
Second.
All right, got a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
One abstention. Thank you. Need to ask the board to approve the following volunteer agreements. Ann Campbell, Giles High School Band. Teresa Fletcher, Giles High School Band. And Florence Stevens, Giles High School.
Do I have a motion to approve these volunteer agreements?
I'll make that motion to approve this.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All right, all those in favor?
Need to ask the board to approve the following resignations. Haley Williams, Mason McClarty, kindergarten teacher, effective October 22nd, 2021.
Do I have a motion to approve the resignation?
I'll make that motion to approve the resignation.
I'll second.
All right, any discussion? All those in favor?
Need to ask the board to approve the following employment. Stephanie Evans, Mason McClarty, teacher assistant, effective November 8th. Peyton Carter, Narrows High School teacher assistant, effective October 11th. And Karen Buzzo, Narrows High School teacher assistant, effective October 11th.
Do I have a motion to approve these employment contracts?
I'll make that motion to approve.
Got a second?
Second.
All right, all those in favor?
Need to ask the board at this time to approve the policy revisions that you were provided. Again, as you know, we work with VSBA Policy Services, and we received updates to policy FFA. So at this time, I need to ask the board to approve that revision.
I'll make that motion.
Got a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All right, all those in favor?
At this time, you were provided a copy of the 2024 Giles County Technology Plan. A committee, our technology committee met and worked on that plan and made changes and adjustments to it. And those changes you saw were highlighted in the document you received. So at this time, I need to ask the board to approve that the 22-24 Giles County Technology Plan, and then we'll add that as part of our division-wide comprehensive plan.
All right. Got a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All right, all those in favor?
And I have other comments I'll make when we come back around to me for other things to get approved and that sort of thing, unless you want me to keep going.
Go ahead, keep going.
All right. I need to ask the board at this time to declare the following items surplus. We have a vehicle listed below, car 77. It's a 1994 Olds Cutlass Sierra. It's a four-door sedan, has 125,046 miles on it. So it's reached its.
94 pounds.
So need to ask the board to approve surplusing that vehicle, please.
Do I have a motion?
I make a motion. Surplus. New vehicle.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Need to ask the board to approve the following resignation. Michelle Stables, Narrows High School assistant, effective November 5th.
Do I have a motion approving that resignation?
Make that motion to approve that.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Need to ask the board to approve the following volunteer agreement. Sherilyn Thacker, Giles High School Band.
Do I have a motion to approve that volunteer agreement?
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Need to ask the board to approve the following athletic contract. Roger Shepard, Nares High School Head Boys JV Basketball.
Do I have a motion to approve that athletic contract?
Make a motion to approve contract.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Share information with you. Enrollment. As of today, October 21st, our enrollment is 2,192. That is the same as our September 30th enrollment. So since September 30th, we've maintained. Unfortunately, though, we are down 19 from August 31st. Just want to congratulate the Giles High School golf team finishing 4th in the state, so congratulations to them. I also believe that Giles High School the volleyball team starts their district play this evening, so good luck to them as they move along. So just to update you, I think I've emailed you this, but just to make sure, our facilities assessment that was started back prior to COVID. I've spoken with Josh Bauer from CRA. They will be visiting schools beginning next Wednesday, the 27th, and Thursday, the 28th.
Oh, and again, I know the board's pleasure to go ahead and do this, but I thought we were gonna have a little more guidance before those, of what they're looking at.
Well, what he's coming to do, based on what he shared with me, is that they're coming now they've already done the facilities condition index and provided that to us. They're coming now to look at the educational programs, observe the educational programs, note any educational deficiencies, educational room deficiencies, et cetera. And then they're going to come up with get a listing of our programs, and then they're going to come up with what they call an educational equity assessment. And then they're going to take that FCI and then this educational equity assessment and combine them and then have information.
Educational equity assessment.
I guess what he's going to do is provide information based on what they would feel they observed and what they think the norms for the educational setting, the size of the rooms, that type, I would assume. And I can get further information and stop him if you want, but I thought
I wasn't on the board that, again, I just like to, I personally would like to know, and I said this when I was a member of the general public, I do not know what an educational equity assessment is.
I'll ask for clarity from him to see what that entails.
What the main thing is, I do not want to go through the process that we are going to have gone through for 14 months to get a straight answer on. It took 14 months to get straight answers on building issues that architects should know. It scares me to death to think that how long would it take to get straight answers on something that's out of their bailiwick, which is education.
Yeah, I'll reach out to him this evening or in the morning, first thing in the morning, and see what he can tell me, so I can get that to you, and if we need to stop. And if we need to stop, we'll.
Well, and that's, I talked to Mr. Steele, my understanding was that we were kind of going to talk about, and maybe I'm wrong in the process, of options to consider. I think everything's on the table, but we're gonna make sure everything's getting looked at.
Well, I think that the facilities condition index, and from, I guess, just me hearing from Josh, the facilities condition index and this educational equity assessment, they're going to come up with the options to share for y'all to discuss, is what I understand.
Are they looking at enrollment boundaries?
They're going to look at future enrollment projections. They're going to and all, and consider that. It's based on what, it's based on what he shared with me. But again, I'll clarify that and make sure. Okay. Yeah,
Hey guys, I'm not trying to. We understand.
I shared with you already that unfortunately, due to the weather turning too cold, the tennis courts at Giles High School and Harris High School will not get done at this time, in this time period. However, they will, and I've got a letter here from ATC that explains why, if you're interested in reading why. I mean, basically it's because of the cold temperatures at nighttime, the materials will not bind to the surface, and then they'll buckle, and then we'll have a product that's worse than what we currently could have. So it's probably gonna be early May before they do that, because that's when the temperatures will be warming up during the day and the evenings to probably get the material to bind appropriately. So.
Can I wait till after the tennis season's over, since?
And we'll speak with both high schools to see if they happen. I think it's a 7 to 10 day process is what they said. So I don't know if there's a window of 7 days where they happen to play away that they could get it done, but if not, then we'll have to.
Are they keeping the same pricing for us?
They would hold the same pricing as what they told
They
us.
gonna give us a break if it goes down?
Well, I would assume that,
I mean, the price of asphalt goes down.
yeah.
For any of that other stuff, I mean.
And maybe they could work out scheduling that they could have a week.
Yeah, and that's something that we'd have to work for them. Again, it's gonna be dependent on the weather, so, as well. We did do, the architect and Adam, ATC, did do a final walkthrough at the track at Giles High School. It is done. It looks nice. It looks very nice. There's some things we need to kind of keep in mind with the mowing the grass and the pine trees that are on the scoreboard end, making sure that we keep the track blown off so some of that stuff doesn't damage, that the pine trees don't damage it, and the sand that's there, get that blown off, and the grass get blown off when it can. So the architect provided an overview, a summary of their visit, so I'll get that out to the high school so that they know how to make sure that they keep up with the track. And I believe they're also looking into something that's a little bit better than what they currently have as a crossover over top of the track as well. We've talked to you previously, or mentioned the VISTA program. That's the testing program for the school division. We have been paired with a company, Aegis, AEGIS. This VISTA program will provide us the ability to do routine COVID tests, routine screening for individuals that have that are exhibiting symptoms or who have been exposed. And in order for us to be able to participate in this diagnostic piece of this VISTA program, we have also going to have to, at some point, agree to do pooled testing, which could be an athletic team, volleyball. We picked 5 of the 10 players. They're tested. They're all negative. You don't go any further. If one comes back positive, then they would work their way down to see who's positive, contact trace, et cetera.
Will this be pool testing? No other reason than to just pull periodic?
The pool test would be just periodic pool test. There is no other reason. But in order for us to participate with the diagnostic and get the 150 or so Buy Next Now testing kits that we currently have, we have to agree to do some of the pooled testing. As well as trying to anticipate and be prepared with what was mentioned earlier, what we're anticipating may come with testing of staff, either vaccinated or test weekly. This could be done. This could be used for that as well. part of this grant allows us, I mean, this grant provides us funding as well to hire individuals to help. It's a director of, I've got it written down. It's a COVID-19 K-12 division coordinator, where they assist in setting up the testing program, getting the testing program up and running, making sure forms are filled out, et cetera. There'll be responsibility for, again, getting the registration, consent forms, making sure the space is set up. That's what that person will be responsible for. It also provides funding for us to hire a K-12 school division testing nurse clinical support person, where that person would be a person to respond to the needs to help with navigating everything we've been trying to navigate now with testing, with close contact, et cetera. In addition, there is also funding included in this. It's a $125,000 grant that will allow us to purchase supplies. That's a computer, if they need a computer at each area, at each school. That's tents to use to, instead of, if there's no area inside, we can get a tent to move it outside, but also use that tent as an outdoor class. Tables, water, so it provides us funding for that as well. So unless I hear a lot of concern about us participating with that, we would like to proceed to start posting these positions, getting these positions hired so they can start helping our nurses.
So when you talk about like, kind of like the drug, like random, like with our drug testing, you know, of course, parents pretty much sign that paper, is that correct? That says
This would have, this is only consent, you have to give your consent to participate. If there's no consent, if there's no consent, then there's nobody, then you can't, then they can't be done.
I might have parents who are like, I don't want my kid.
And if the parent doesn't want them done, then they won't participate.
Okay.
But again, the reason to participate in the pool is we've got this ability to do this diagnostic test. If I happen to have symptoms, I can take the test home. I can download an app on my phone. That person on the phone can help me, walk me through how to do the test, look at the test, read the test, provide me results back within, I think, 15 minutes. And then I know how we need to proceed.
But it won't change our policy on, like if you get a test back, we're not gonna change our quarantine status, correct? Like if you gotta be quarantined for such a, I mean, even if we get them right on in hand, you know, test them, get them in hand, it's still gonna be the same. You're still gonna quarantine for the 11 days so that's not gonna change, correct? You know that.
Not necessarily. The last Zoom meeting I was on, Dr. Bissell thinks that'll change. What we're going by is what the guidelines from the BDH.
Yeah.
And Dr. Bissell thinks that this possibly could change, but she has not given us any other guidelines, and the only thing we can follow is what they hand us.
I don't know, the only reservation I have on it is just random pool testing to test. Whether it be, you know, especially an athletic team, if there's no problem, you know, I'm not a scientist, I don't know positives or false negatives or what have you, but I'd hate to have a team shut down in the middle of an athletic season for a false positive when there's no.
But I think it's also,
I mean,
go the other way.
Both ways.
Yeah, I think, and that's why we were looking at it, because in the event that we happen to have a team that may have something going on, we can get them tested and see, okay, you still have the ability to participate because you still have enough that aren't affected.
We already have ones not playing this way because of quarantine.
Did I miss anything?
It's either do it now or it will come out of our own pocket.
Yeah, because this isn't going to cost. This isn't costing us now. I mean, we're not because the Binex now we have 150 tests. and we can continue, as we use them, we can continue to order them. But if we don't participate now, and the other stuff comes that we anticipate is coming with possibility of staff having to test, if they're not back, if it's either vaccinated or they have to test, then that would have to come out of our and I don't
So
know what that could.
So a parent could like request it too, like if they, when their kid tested, I guess you could call and recommend.
They could, if they come in to pick up their child at school, I could offer to you, and you could say yes, and they'll get you to sign, the school will get you to sign off on the consent form, they'll give you the test, you go home, you download the app and you go through it. And it's not the one that you drive all the way up to your brain, it's not. That's not the test.
So if it shows negative on that test, do you go, even though you have symptoms or show signs or something, if it shows negative, do you still have to quarantine or can you come back?
If you request it and for some reason, but I mean, if you're considered a close contact, it depends on if you're vaccinated or unvaccinated, how long you have to stay out. So if you are vaccinated and you have symptoms and you test negative, then once your symptoms go away, you can come back. But if you're not vaccinated and you have symptoms and you're considered a close contact, then you have to stay out, and that's the very confusing thing. But and I probably didn't even say it right, but I say it 100 times. But it's the difference in close contact, symptomatic, asymptomatic, vaccinated, close contact, symptomatic, asymptomatic, unvaccinated. And there's two different charts and there's two different policies for the different
What is the purpose of doing the random testing? I don't understand that.
The pool testing?
Yeah.
Because in January, Dr. Bissell, in the latest call that we had, there is already language that has gone to Washington. By January, they are going to require any employer that has more than 100 employees to test their unvaccinated staff weekly. This is a way that school boards are signing on to this program, because in January, if you haven't signed on, then you're not gonna get the 2 coordinators free. You're not going to get the $35,000 of computers and things like that to help you, and you're not gonna get the testing, it'll come out of your pocket. So Dr. Arbogast signed up early, but now the schools that didn't sign up, they're now scrambling around and they are signing up because they realize it's gonna cost them hundreds of thousands of dollars to test their unvaccinated people. Now, if you do pool testing, it's still, like, if you don't want your child vaccinated, you just say, vaccinated, if you don't want your child tested, you opt out of it. But the ones that want their kids, then you will.
You still gotta sign that you give consent to do it.
We're giving parents choice.
Yes.
You've got to sign a consent form for the child to participate.
Yes.
I'm for
They don't, then
parents getting a choice instead of sending home and saying, don't come back unless you're
I'm good with it.
Now, if you say, like, for instance, we have a situation where, they're going to quarantine our whole team, and because there's one, but then we could pool test the whole team at that time. We could look at it in reverse instead of like a got you. It could be clearing people, because they're like, we're going to quarantine the whole team because they've all been exposed. And we're like, no, we want to pool test these kids and we want to clear them so they can play.
Yeah.
That's more the way I'm looking at it. But still, and then even if a parent wants to sign off immediately, they've opted out of it, but now they want to opt in, we can have hard copies and you can.
they can sign, there's hard copies of the consent form. Yeah, so I mean, it's a consent form that's out there that each school has.
But then basically, the government's going to force you to test your employees weekly.
Yeah,
You're gonna have to pay for it.
Just don't know when it's I don't know when it's coming and don't know what it's gonna look like. I don't know what the guidelines are gonna be when it comes.
Well, at least you're gonna offer them that instead of making them get vaccinated, because that's not right.
I work with the government. I don't have a choice. On November the 22nd, I have to be vaccinated. Or I've got 10 days. After that 10 days, I will be fine. But I was vaccinated.
Anything else?
No, I got a couple other things. I just didn't want to make sure y'all were done conversation. I didn't want to interrupt. We received, I guess, last week and again this week, request from our Education Association. And I assume that you want to have a conversation about that. I don't know how you want to have that conversation, so I just wanted to bring it up, and the request from the Education Association is based on what the time that our teachers have been missing for planning due to quarantines, doing virtual learning, covering classes because others are out due to quarantines or positive cases, and having to cover classes. They requested that we consider looking at early release days to help them make up some or have the ability to do some additional planning here in the next couple of weeks or next couple of months, actually, through, I think it was through December 17th, through that Friday before Christmas break. A couple options if you're interested in pursuing that. One of those options could be next Friday, October 29th, doing a 2-hour early release. I know that there are some activities planned because of Halloween, which would cause some safety congestion issues here, particularly in Parisburg, with buses running at that time that those are scheduled. So we could consider releasing at 1 o'clock, which is 2 hours early, provide staff that 2 hours that afternoon. They would still work their contracted time to get some planning done. We could also look at a day in November and look at a day in December to look at a 2-hour early release to provide additional opportunities for planning and preparing lessons and such for their students.
What's your recommendation about that?
I think it's legitimate because they've missed with the amount of coverage that they've had to do in the schools, the amount of some of the staff that's out due to quarantines or positives. It would be beneficial to have some time to do that.
I've got two concerns. Well, I have one concern, I think maybe we try 29th. It's a good day to do that. We see how it's received, how it's used, how it's utilized. And I do have a concern about the frequency that was originally requested, because you're talking in there's high school students losing an afternoon. That's really 2 afternoons on a block schedule of classes they're losing. But, I think, personally trying it the 29th, seeing how it's received, providing enough, that this may even provide enough advance notice, because I think the weekly one would also provide, I don't want to say we're our babysitters for kids, but it does put some pressure on parents if you're doing it every week, that you would have every Wednesday to have to early release and pick up your kids or make childcare arrangements.
I wasn't proposing for you all to consider once a week from now until December. My thought would be the October 29th day, be one day in November. Could be November 17th or November 23rd, the day right before Thanksgiving break, and December 8th. Those three is what, those three combinations, one now in October, one in November, and one in December.
Yeah.
And I don't know which way, I don't know whether November 17th or November 23rd, I don't know which one's better.
So are they gonna need all of them, or will it be something they can get caught up fairly well with this one in October? I don't really know how that works.
I don't know that.
Need one each month?
I don't know that they're gonna, is one gonna get them caught up? I don't know that one's gonna get them caught up. that's why I would propose doing, again, the one in October, one in November, one in December, and then see how that progresses to see whether we even need to talk about considering anything for second semester. That's why I don't think we want to talk about extending it for a long period of time. Because we don't know. We want to give them the opportunity to see how they do work for both our staff and for our communities, as you voiced.
How can we emphasize the importance of everyone actually using that to plan?
Well, that's how it would be communicated to our administrators and principals that this time is for staff to use to plan, to make up for lost planning time due to covering classes, et cetera. And it's not an opportunity for just to leave school with that when the kids are gone.
I think they know that.
Oh, I agree.
Yeah, I would.
Well, we would reiterate that, but I don't, as I said, I don't think that they would abuse it. I think they would, staff would, appreciate the opportunity to have that time to do some of the planning that they've not had the opportunity to do.
I think they're legitimately falling behind, talking to several of them, and I think this will help out, see how it goes.
Is that a paid work planning period, or is that optional time for them to do? How does that work with total hours?
I'm not sure what you're asking.
Is that in the contract that they have, is that planning period part of the hours that they, I know when they sign that, they are planning their days that they have to be there. How does that fit in? If somebody in the public has.
They're there 210 days. Their contract's 210 days.
Okay.
We have to have either 180 days in school or 990 hours for courses to count. So, I mean, these would still be part of their contracted days that they would be expected to be at school, if I understand what you're
Yeah, if
asking.
somebody in the public asks, there's always somebody that says, saw the early release for planning period and everybody busted the Walmart and that looked like a good idea. So that's why I asked, it doesn't take but a few people to make a really good plan not look very well. So let's use it for what it's for and just, if we need it, let's use it. And if we gotta do it again, we'll make that available.
And if I ain't mistaken, and we're required to give them, I don't know if it's the planning or time, in between classes there.
There are planning period requirements, and if they're covering,
Probably not getting.
and if they're covering classes,
those people.
it's possible that they're not getting their, it's very possible they're not getting their planning period.
That's
But
what.
there are planning period requirements, yes.
Okay. I'm good with that, this is me.
Do you have, I mean, again, I don't know what the right answer is for the November date, whether it's the 17th, which is a Wednesday in the middle of the week, or the Tuesday right before a holiday.
I think the middle of the week is much more difficult for parents to plan on pickups, and if they're already ramping up for a holiday, I think that's even less intrusive, because if they're trying to get out of town, they're already thinking going, and that doesn't.
And like Jason said, give them some advance notice, get these dates out there now, so they can plan for the next, how many days we're gonna do it for the next 3 months.
Yeah, so it'll be it's a 2-hour release, basically releasing 1 o'clock elementary and I think it's 1:15 at the high schools, but 2-hour release. So it'll be the 29th, the 23rd of November, 29th of October, 23rd of November, and December 8th.
All right, get those dates out there so parents can know.
Are you comfortable with that?
December when?
December 8th?
That's right.
November 23rd.
Okay.
That's the week prior to our last week before Christmas break.
All right. But I'd kind of like to hear from after, in December, how much that's helped them, like to.
I can ask Katie to see if she can,
If that's-
GEA president, to see if she can report back to us. Okay. At some point in time, we need to talk about the Nares Elementary Middle School HVAC project. We opened up bids yesterday for the second time for that project. We did have two general contractors submit proposals yesterday, which is better than what we had the first time. The submission that we received was lower than what the original cost was. And if you're interested in that cost, I can tell you what they submitted. I guess that's appropriate. We had one entity submit one general contractor submitted a total base bid of $2,846,700. The second one, general contractor submitted a total base bid of $2,594,531. That is about $50,000 less than what the bid was last time.
So if we bid it one more time, we'll be right there.
And if we bid it one more time, I don't know that you're gonna get any better than what you got right here.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm tired of talking about this. We're gonna do something.
Because
Not just me, or that something will happen.
Probably the best number we're gonna get unless we wait till middle of next year.
then all we're doing is playing just a ticking clock and see, well, okay, are we still good today to go to school at Nares or whatever, because the boilers are not working or whatever it might be. Keep in mind, you know as well as I do, with the ESSER CARES money that we received, that can go towards HVAC upgrades, because of that helps with the air quality within the building to assist with the pandemic. ESSER 2, we had $1.6 million earmarked for Nares Elementary Middle School. We have the ability to also apply for another grant. It's called I'm just gonna call it, it's an HVAC grant, but it's actually called the Coronavirus State and Local Recovery Funds to support HVAC replacement and improvement projects. We have to have, there's an application complete. We have to complete it by November 15th. And we plan on submitting that, because that's $446,976 that we would have available to put towards HVAC projects as well. There is a requirement for a local match that's equal to 100% of the grant, but we can elect to use our local capital improvement plan funds or the ESSER 1, 2, or 3 funds to provide the required local match. So we've already got, as I said, the 1.6 earmarked for it. There's our local match for the $464,000. But that still puts us about $507,000 away from covering just the cost of what was provided us. And I'm assuming we probably need to have, y'all can, Stevie, Philip, you can tell me better, about a 15% contingency, 10 to 15% contingency.
No less than 10. I mean, in this climate, I'd probably have your 15.
So then we're talking about about $900,000. We, keep in mind, we still have carryover funding from the 1920 that we've not earmarked, and we've not earmarked 2021.
What are those, fresh my memory, tell me?
I think the amount that we have left from 1920 that we have not earmarked, actually, I take that back. We earmarked it for capital projects at the school, so that's what this would be. It's about $621,000. And then we've not earmarked anything from the 2021 school year carryover, which is 2.2.
And that, to me, that, in addition to that 15, I don't think we know how, we're gonna have to have engineering to do shop drawing reviews and do site visits to make sure that, or John Ross gonna do that.
I've not gotten that. I'm assuming that we're gonna need to have a clerk of the works, and I don't know that John Ross will be the clerk of the works because he would not be able to be there on a daily basis.
But from an engineering standpoint, when equipment invoices come in and the contractor gets ready to start dropping off materials, we're gonna have to have an engineer
That would be
say that this is the right equipment.
that would have to be T&L because that's who we're working with.
I don't think it's gonna be a lot of money, but if we got 621 and we just need to make sure we get a quote from them and know what that is. We're probably looking at $30,000-40,000. For them to come and do some inspections, and do the startup. If they designed it, they need to do the startup and verify it's working like they designed and sign off on it as a professional engineer that it is, in fact, installed and working like it should before we let them walk off and close out the project.
So I guess what I'm looking for y'all is are you comfortable with me going back to T&L and saying that we're comfortable with the bid after they have the opportunity to vet the two proposals, make sure that everything's okay, and say, we're ready to move forward. Now, what's the next step?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do we need to approve, you have an authorization to provide notice of award and sign any documents associated with getting them under contract?
I guess you better, because the next time we meet is gonna be sometime in November. That's 3-4 weeks away, and then we don't wanna wait that long, I don't believe.
I think it's pretty standard that we give you the green light to move ahead, so you don't have to keep coming back.
As long as y'all approve that and are comfortable approving that, then yeah.
I'm all right with that. Get it going before
Okay.
one of those contractors calls
I
and say,
think we probably, get a motion, get it approved.
Motion.
Do I have a motion to approve that?
I'll make that motion. Go ahead and approve that.
What's the company?
Southern Air.
Southern Air.
Any discussion? All in favor?
I'll start that conversation either tomorrow or Monday.
I'll yield the chair back to Mr. Steele.
Did we need to put Miss Mustang on it in case he's not here to?
But that would be applied.
That'd be applied, she's my designee anyway in the event of anything, so, yeah.
She can say anything that day anyway, aren't you?
God brought it up here.
and Terry, make sure the engineer should have built contingency into our estimate, but 15 set to the side somewhere. I guess it doesn't make any difference. If we need it, we can approve, pull it. We just need to get this one knocked out. I think it's, we've been talking about this for 10 years.
We've been right the whole time we've been on board, so.
Not like lawnmowers. That's what I was thinking, lawnmowers.
The next will be equipment delivery, so we'll see what that challenge
Which
is.
they're apparently working very well.
Yeah.
That's all I had. Now I can't find it. Somebody asked me, and I don't know if it was here, I think one of y'all asked me about the numbers for the school-based health center at Giles. Just through October 12th, through the school-based health center, appointment demographics of just unique patients, there were 76. They were supposed to begin dental, I think, this week, this past Monday. So I've not talked to them to see how that's gone, how many they've, et cetera. But I know that somebody asked me about those numbers, so I just wanted to share that with you. And I can tell you it's students, just the patient demographics was 48 students and 33 faculty, and that probably includes so I can keep giving that to you to update that on a periodic basis. We need to talk about dates for the next month, just so we have people lined up. I'm sure we will hold our monthly meeting with the two Board of Supervisors members and Mr. McClarney on November 3rd. That's a Wednesday, so I need to, just wanted to put it out there a little earlier than what I've been doing previously. So we get two board members that are able to attend.
I'm good to be able to.
I am as well, but again, anybody that wants to be part of that, doesn't need to be the same two folks every time. You wanna go, Melissa?
Absolutely not.
Okay, we'll let you think about that. I'm not sure that was a definitive answer. I'll come back to you.
Y'all do a great job, yes.
Mr. Will, would you like to attend that?
First of the month is hard for me.
Mr. Pennington, would you like to go to that?
You go ahead, sir, I've been the last two of those.
Okay.
All right. We have moved just again for your calendar, so you're aware, we moved the facilities committee meeting has been moved to Thursday, November 4th at 1 o'clock. The remaining budget meetings are scheduled for November 9th. That's a Tuesday, I believe. 7:45 at Nares High School, 9 o'clock with bus drivers here, and 4 o'clock with the GEA here as well.
I could be up to 7:45.
You can.
Bus drivers are, I don't think we've met them the last couple of years ago.
Mm-hmm. We did last year.
Did you?
I thought we did last year.
Okay.
I thought they did show up.
I think,
The second time.
yeah, we met last year. Yes, yeah.
I'm old, I can't remember. I can't remember what happened yesterday.
Come on.
Wow. I thought it was a great presentation.
I think I can
Getting deep,
do
getting
this. I mean, I don't know. I don't have a baby schedule on here for that yet, but
Yeah,
put me down for that.
that should be.
I can do 9 if I have to, but somebody else wants to go, that's fine. But I can't do it at 4 o'clock.
I'll try to, it just depends on.
I can definitely do 4.
Okay,
I can do 9, but 7:45.
so I've got at least one at each.
Okay, so you got those names. All right.
And if I'm not slinging babies, I'll show up for all of them. Okay.
Now, the other thing we need to talk about is when you want to do the November board meeting. Because our normal date for the board meeting would be November 18th, the third Thursday. However, that's the VSBA conference. Mr. Steele, myself, and I believe and Ms. Tickle will be coming back from Williamsburg that day, that afternoon, evening, from the conference. So I don't know what your pleasure is, whether you want to move it forward or move it back.
Is that 16, 17, 18, or?
16th, 17th, and 18th.
You all go down the
Monday.
night of the 15th.
Is that voting meeting the morning of the 16th, is that when we go down?
You have golf that next morning.
Oh, my goodness. Really? Really?
It's part of it.
It shouldn't be allowed.
Well,
I agree. Now, one of the times, I'll go down, I'll go hunt.
that's the first part of that, so we'll talk about that.
So you're thinking the 23rd?
That's what's, because if you move it prior, the week prior, the week of the 8th, we have a holiday on the 11th.
Good for me.
So then you'd have to look at it, so you want to do it that Wednesday?
Megan plays that day, but I think it's a 2 o'clock.
If
that's an early release.
If we do an early release, then maybe you could move the board meeting up if you want to, because the educational feature is Giles High School. And if you want students to participate, with them getting early release, you may want to consider moving the board meeting earlier.
You said Main Place 25th?
23rd, but y'all, it's okay.
What time?
2 at home, I think, but it's okay, the rest of you will be here, it'll be all right. I'd probably get back before 30, but I don't want to have them have to wait. If they're getting out early, I'd probably rather just come out, it's okay.
You wanna do that one later in the day, so we can give you time to get back? We've had some folks want to have a little bit later meeting.
I mean, whatever, I mean, I'm okay if y'all don't have to do it, it'll be fine.
I start getting hungry.
Is there another day that week that Melissa would?
That's the only.
That's
day that
Thanksgiving
week.
break.
But it's Thanksgiving too, that week.
You got Veterans Day the week before that knocks you out.
Then you got election,
More like getting on.
24th is a holiday,
Yeah.
part of Thanksgiving break. And that's why I say, if you move it to the week prior, you've got Veterans Day on the 11th, which is a holiday, so you can move it to the 10th on Wednesday, and that's moving it to another day. That's up to,
Was the 23rd, is there anything to keep us from doing it earlier in the day?
Ooh. So Maggie plays it too, but it's okay, y'all go ahead.
He's saying early, you're talking about morning.
Like 8 o'clock.
Oh,
We can't bring the Giles kids
maybe
out.
educational feature.
Educational feature.
because they're gonna get out at 1, it's okay.
Okay.
Because I don't wanna make the teachers happy, if they're gonna be getting off and they wanna come do the education.
If you wanna do it late as 6 or 7,
No, I mean, I would be back, I'm sure probably by 4:30, but I don't wanna make them have to wait. It's okay, I mean, because it's an early, because then it's gonna be
Teachers gonna be
Thanksgiving
there
at
till
Concord too,
3:30.
so that's why we're.
Question.
but then we got that,
Gonna have any
there'll be
kids?
plenty.
What?
the teachers that will be playing.
Whatever.
That's what they're.
I mean, I'll
Just keep it a regular time, because
If we do it at 4:30, then you'll be on your way back.
I can get
You
back.
probably won't be into
Yeah.
like voting items until you're here.
I mean, the games normally don't last more than 2 hours. I will be here pretty quick.
So keep it at 4:30 on the 23rd.
Amanda has some turkey for us. Or at least talk to you about it.
Okay, I'll see what I can do.
I think that's all I have written down to share. I have an understanding, yes. So we will,
See that?
yeah, so we will start working on getting those out and posted the next couple days.
Part of my ask is, did we address the policy revision?
Yes.
Is it approved?
Okay.
Yes,
Is there action
FFA.
that needs to happen? I know that it was preemptively submitted as a request. So we need to let somebody know that they need to now resubmit based on
That,
policy in place, so once, make sure we follow like we should.
you've approved the policy. She'll need to get policies ready and get them out to schools. And once we can get them out to schools, then we can make sure that they understand that they've got to follow that
Right, we need to follow as
as it's written there.
right. Before any energy gets going, make that very clear that we're going to follow. Everybody okay with that? That's all you had, Dr. Arvin?
Yes, sir. And the only other thing I would do is thank Giles Tech Center, Mr. White, Ms. Evans, kids for coming today, their presentation.
All right, are we ready for board member comments?
Yes, sir.
Jason's
All right.
done.
I'll go first. Just wanna echo what Dr. Arvin said about the golf team. Congratulations to them for finishing fourth. And the girls volleyball starting their tournament this evening. Good luck to them. And then again, just thanking everybody that's involved in the school system. Really appreciate all you do and what you have done and what you're gonna do. Just keep up the good work. And I'd like to thank the Giles Tech Center for doing their presentation today. It was very good. And I guess that's about all we got. Short, sweet today.
Kind of same as Philip and Dr. Arvin, congratulations to the teams. I know they're kind of winding down right now, at the end of the season, and so good luck to them as they're gonna finish and start hopefully some playoffs. So far, thanks for all the schools that hosted us for budget meetings. They actually did a great job presenting, telling us what they need, and so I kind of enjoyed sitting and listening to that. Just kind of keep bearing with us. I know it's kind of rough times. I know when parents are worried about kids being out of school, and like the rest of us, I'm, pretty concerned about it too. And so we just gotta keep moving forward. Hopefully it's gonna get better soon.
Well, echoing what they had said, Tech Center coming out here today was great. I know they enjoy doing that, I would enjoy going to class. I'm not smart enough to be in there. The golf team, congratulations, I'm sure that, I don't know if it was expected or they just got better, but, I know Coach Moore did a great job. With that, he enjoyed it, spoke to him, he loves those kids. So he had a great season. Continued, what everybody does is we can't speak enough of what everybody does in the school system. I wanna brag on something, speaking to Mr. Widows, and because Mr. Widows, he got a call from a North Cross fan after the ball game. And they got some good athletes, by the way. But the fan said that they was amazed at our facilities. The kids, was amazed, the fans. He said that everybody was polite and the fields and everything about it. They would love to come play again, I guess they would. But they just bragged about how it looked, and it makes you feel good. In a school system like this, it makes you kind of proud of what you've got out there, I know they play at a lot of places, private school like that. So thanks for all who put in time doing that. We've been to these budget hearings, and what the budget hearing is just a request from each school. And they have a lot of needs, and we know what most of those needs are, from leaks and the airflow and the heat, or the air is not working. We're working on some things to help each school with those issues. We spend a lot of time. But one common theme is salary and healthcare, the insurance. And I know we have done a lot, but I don't think we've done enough, and I hope we can do more, especially with healthcare. I know we worked hard with the county, and they've worked hard, I know they have. But compared to these other counties, when you're speaking to people, they've got people lined up with positions. So I think we've got maybe 13 positions, or something like that, or close.
Like that, it's close.
And they get a call that, I'm very interested in coming. I was raised here. I want to go to jobs. I want to teach in this county. But your health care. But your insurance, I'm tired of hearing that, and we've got to do something to stop that, and the deductible $5,000, we've got to work harder, and hopefully we can all do that. And it ain't by the lack of trying, because we have been. I think everybody has been doing a lot. I'm not blaming nobody, but I think we just need to work harder, and we will. And so just be patient, please. So thanks, everybody.
Mr. Buck.
Congratulations to the Giles golf team on their success there at the state tournament. Good luck. I believe Naris has got their district tournament tonight too, so good luck to both of those.
I wasn't sure.
Or playoff, yeah. I think they both are playing tonight, so good luck to both of them, and hopefully they advance. Some young athletes that are also theater folks are taking part, well, not just athletes, but all students, but there's a lot of folks that are doing a lot of things, but the theater's getting everyone act to play ready there at Nares. They've done a really good job with that program. Really glad to see, I think everybody's worked hard to overcome the challenges that we really faced there a couple of weeks after school started, and I think everyone's working hard to overcome these challenges that we have, but they've done well. It's good to see the kids in school. Hopefully we can keep them in school. Thoughts to this student that was mentioned earlier, public comment period, thoughts and prayers go out there. Hope everything turns out all right. But really I'm proud of, again, getting, it's nice to go into these budget hearings. Wish we could grant all the wish lists and requests and that we could, and wave a magic wand and everything would be fixed, but we're listening, we're trying. It's always nice to go in, and presentations that are given really are succinctly describe the needs we have. Again, and hopefully we'll continue to trudge forward through this Anything pandemic?
All I have really to add, I will say that Mark and I had one of many great meetings with one of our buildings, Eastern, and Jason. I think the theme with those leaders that I can really appreciate is they've really worked hard to come to the table for suggestions on how things can get better. And they always start with how appreciative they are with everything that they have gotten. But we would like to do better for the kids. And when that's the statement that we're getting, I don't think we can ask for anything else. And they are focused on trying to do better for the kids, and we do hear a lot of requests for better salary, better benefits, and planning period time, but I think in the end, all our teachers, they really do, they're stressed because they don't see that they're getting enough time to do what they really want to do when they went to school. And that is help those kids as much as they can. And this whole thing has changed all of that. So I guess what I'd like to do is have the public be patient and understand that until they've walked a couple of feet in their shoes, they don't know how much harder it is for them to see a kid not get the service that they used to be able to give them. And now they're having a hard time getting that same level to them. So I went in with the cafeteria, I met with them and
Send an email to
Christy this week. I mean, I don't think anybody realizes, and the public needs to continue to be very patient.
Okay.
When they're putting in their orders now for food, they're getting back 50% or more of the items that they ordered, not available, not available, not available. We're not gonna have chicken, we're not gonna have chicken nuggets, we're not gonna have some of the real staples that kids are used to having, and they feel bad already when a kid comes through the line and they don't have what is on that menu. But that is not a Giles County problem, that's not a state of Virginia problem, it is a national problem. When the chicken plant in Georgia shut down, then you better believe that chicken is gonna start not showing up on Walmart shelves. So be patient. We may end up being grilled cheese, tomato soup, and peanut butter jelly before it's all over, but we're gonna do the best we can to feed the kids. And the cafeteria people aren't deciding not to order stuff. So everybody be patient with those folks. They really, again, they take it personally when they can't take care of the kids either. That's what they do. They make sure they're happy and they're fed. So be patient with them and tell your kids to be patient. They're doing the best they can. So hats off to them and all they do, and really appreciate it. So with that,
I make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.
motion and second, all those in favor?